Hey guys, we got something a little bit different today. I get to work inside for once. 98 Nissan Pathfinder. Customer started to do his spark plugs. Pull the intake manifold. Needs help reinstalling the EGR, which is just in there. You can see where it's supposed to go. I guess he dropped something or whatever on the intake manifold. He wants to do spark plugs too. We back up here. And apparently they're seized. They're down there somewheres. So this should be super fun. I'm hoping this all goes well. Yeah, he started pulling this apart. I've got a couple things left to take off, and we're gonna see what's involved. Okay, wish me luck. So just taking a look and seeing what's left to take off. He's got most of this stuff off. I never like kind of finishing somebody else's work because you never know what they did. So to do the intake manifold, it's 2, 4, 5 Allen bolts. It'll come out of here. You have to do disconnect some lines. Looks like we've got one vacuum line back here left to undo. Only one of those has to come out. And then one coolant line right there has to come out. We have a vent line to that valve cover, needs to come off. Throttle cables come off. Intake pipe come off. Vacuum line to your booster. Looks like he tore the hose a little bit, but I think that'll probably be okay. The edge that's there. Be aware, these cars are getting old. Everything's getting super brittle. So let's see if we can get these hoses off the back here without damaging anything. Your best bet is going to be using a tool like that, and or some long pliers, and to get the clamps off anyway. Okay. Well, the downsides of this job is my van is not right beside it. We need, what do we need here? I'm gonna grab this guy, and I'm gonna grab this guy. Popping the hose off. Everything else should be okay. This is a mess. I hate this. I haven't found a good way to keep everything from moving in the van. It fucking drives me nuts. Everything's just, look at this. And it's all wet because it's been so cold. The condensation, so that's upsetting. I need to fix this. Don't worry, it will be fixed. Those don't work, this slide around. I just gotta figure out something. Okay, this is not particularly fun. I got that coolant line off. See right here? This guy's off. There's another one that goes straight down beside this vacuum line. I think book time on this fucking intake is like 3 hours. So there's the vacuum line. There's the hose. And there's a little clamp on it. So I'm gonna have to get a long pair of needle nose or something in there to get that loose. And then what you do with this guy is you just kind of work it underneath and pull it loose. Okay, make sure you don't stab through with the tip. So here, you work it on your way across, pop it out, run it around. Yeah, sorry, access sucks here. You can see. Focus on something, please. There we go. It's not great. So yeah, neat. Okay, got the intake manifold loose. We're gonna see when we flip this up. You don't see this. There it is. Come on, focus on that. There's a connector left right there. There's actually 2 connectors on the back. And there's another vacuum line that had to come off. This guy right there. See that guy? Ever tell you I don't like Nissan? Okay, we got the intake manifold off. So just so you can kind of see what's going on here, keep in mind I didn't take this thing apart, or didn't start taking it apart. So we're gonna find very quickly here that it never had to be taken apart. So we got our 2 coolant hoses right here on the back This vertical one, big pain in the ass. These two connectors are under the intake manifold. They're easier to get once you've kind of tipped the manifold up. We've got a couple of our vacuum lines here. Obviously, EGR pipe has to come off as well. Now, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you the whole reason we did this. And then these things are pretty grody. I sprayed some shit down in there. We have to clean out all around the spark plug holes before we even start. We're going to use some compressed air. Before we do that, we're going to shove some paper towel in these holes because we don't lose anything in there. But anyway, the whole reason, let me get off of here. Jesus, sorry about that. The whole reason the customer started this is he wanted to clean his EGR. Take a look here. And Nissan, in all their fucking genius, there's the EGR port. There's no threads in there. Okay? Instead, they use some sort of fucking bracket on the back. Guess what? You unbolt it, the bracket falls down. Customer thought that the bracket fell underneath the intake manifold, so he started taking the intake manifold off. Once you start, it needs a new gasket because it's peeling. Sometimes you can get it with reusing it. This is the original, no way. There's that pain in the ass coolant line. So you can see you can't undo it until after the manifold's off. And then he didn't have to undo these two. Not a big deal, those could have stayed. So I'm gonna do some fishing. I didn't find that bracket under the intake manifold, which kind of sucks because it means this job didn't have to be done. But it's going to make the spark plugs easier anyway. But he's going to have to now buy a new gasket. And then this vent hose to the valve cover is really fucked up. So I'm going to recommend that he replaces that as well. It's gotten all oil soaked. But let's see if we can find that bracket. Found it. On the spark plug. I can't undo it with this bar, with this ratchet. So I'm gonna go get my 1/2 inch and see. That's not a good sign. It should just come out. I don't have my tripod with me, so it makes it hard to do this as is. But what I've done is I've just blown all the shit out. You can see I got my air gun there. Blew all the shit out. Be careful about like rat shit and stuff like that. You don't want to breathe that stuff in. Wear safety glasses, all that stuff. Sprayed a little bit of PB Blaster down all the holes to try to help loosen it up. But obviously we gotta get the initial smack out of it. So let's see. Hopefully I don't have to helicoil the cylinder head. Boo. Well, I got it. Use this fucking thing. I mean, she's still tight. So I'm not gonna fuck around with it one-handed. 2 and 3 came out just fine. Cylinder 1, not so much. I had to put probably 80 foot-pounds on that to crack it. Way too much. So we're either going to work it back and forth. So anytime you run into something like this, guys, make sure you use a good socket. Make sure it's clean. Make sure you put a little bit of, I put some PB Blaster on there. And just take it easy, okay? Crack it the first time. If it feels resistance, tighten up, quarter turn, back it off a little bit, and so forth. Rinse and repeat. Add a little bit more lubricant as required, and they will eventually go. Well, I won. Got it out. It's pretty burned out. And way over torqued. That's usually a crush washer there. There's no crush left. So if you don't have a torque wrench, what you do is you seat it, thread it in till it contacts that crush washer. Then you want to add usually about half a turn. And we look at the box. Seat it by hand, 1/2 to 2/3 of a turn. Okay? Don't fuck with the electrode. Alright. I kind of want to know who's the dummy that thought making this loose bracket here underneath the intake manifold to put the EGR valve on was a good idea, so that when you unbolt it, it falls into the engine bay, never to be seen again. I was lucky to find this one. But like, you could have just threaded the intake manifold, right? So yeah, just doing this off the cart because, I mean, why not? Why do I want to fight with this later? Anyway, basically, plugs are in. I'm gonna go to the parts store, go pick up a new intake manifold gasket and a new vent line. Come back tomorrow, put this all back together for the customer, fire it up and see how she runs.